fingers crossed, no more sound issues and we can crack on.
No more.
Downstairs to the basement we go once again, Tim, and I imagine for the defenders the lineup will look identical, but of course Rogue have the ability to flex around as much as they like thanks to attacker repick. If you haven't seen what that is before, maybe you're tuning back into the Major after a good while out of the game. Well, it means that you're in this whole prep phase as the attackers. You can still get your drones in the map, of course, and figure out what's going on, and use that information to change what attackers you're bringing to the field.
This is it. So it means really, you know, in real terms, we shouldn't be seeing attacking lineups that don't have what they need. Because, like you say, they can go in, they can take a look, they can see exactly what the setup is, what the site is, they can confirm all those things. You know, if they see something troublesome on the defensive side, they can think, right, there's a Valkyrie. They won't be here because Valkyrie's banned out, but for sake of example, there's a Valkyrie, we need to switch out and bring an IQ along so that we can deal with that. You know, that's the sort of flexibility that the attackers have got.
It's one thing that obviously a few pros and coaches and those generally involved in the pro scene aren't too fond of. They just say it makes it far too easy, whereas I look back at the old day where it was like, okay, we're on Clubhouse, let's always bring 3 Hard Breach, let's always bring Thatcher, and let's always bring, say, Zofia. That was all you'd see every single round without fail. Whereas I love now that it gives you a bit of flexibility. For example, if you're not attacking downstairs on Clubhouse, why bring a sledge? You can bring something else instead. If you want to bring out a really cool comp because you've seen a hole in the defense, for example, then you can do that now. It does add a lot of fun into the game and makes it very exciting to watch, which also is what a lot of people are saying. Siege has never been more fun to watch than it is in the state it is right now. Anyway, the round is underway. NIP holding down inside staff and open area before dropping through the hatches, just to try and keep Rogue slowed down, keep them having to guess exactly where these Romans are and what they've got to figure out. It's a great bit of drone operation coming in here from Rogue, though, to make sure this map is clear. Spoit the one taking all the free ground that he can find.
It's been great so far. Deepak just getting in there once again, doing the heavy lifting on the drone in. Crying just needs to be careful. He's potentially going to get pushed from Marble Stairs. Will dip himself back away from there. I think through the game we are going to spend a little bit of time focusing on Deepak because, you know, we spoke about this yesterday. It was picked up on by Fresh, particularly on Twitter, saying, you know, 70-80% of Deepak's time is spent in the drones, feeding that information into his team, and all he's doing along the way is facilitating them. So, you know, we are going to keep an eye on that and see the amount of work that he's doing before he gets into the map particularly, but also you'll see those calls, you'll see that information come in, and you'll see the benefits that it gives Rogue along the way.
He's like a pack mule in a way, right? He's just there doing his job quite quietly. You don't really realise that he exists until the very end of the round when he's doing something for you, like on the Ying. And interestingly here, Rogue have only brought along 2 Hard Breaches. They've only got the exothermics in Leon's back pocket, which have now been both deployed. So some hatches will have to remain closed here, and I think that's part of their plan, honestly. Either that or it's a small miscollection by a couple of players not to bring along the Hard Breach gadgets that got added not too long ago. Well, were added a while ago, but then recently got doubled up, so you now have 2 in back pocket instead.
Spoit just absolutely itching to get himself down the staircase here. Pressure mounting from the south side for NIP. They need to be aware of that. And Pino's going to send out a Toxic Babe canister. That's his first deploy, but it is going to prevent Spoit being able to push down. Kanto is looking to get some nades in from there. They know that Pino's playing in and around that area, just holding down the main stairs. He's going to take a tickle of damage, but nothing too much. And right now, this is where the teeth of the push could come. That's unfortunate. It bounces back. Deepak just trying to put those Candelas in deeper, but Pino stands up tall, takes down Spoit, Musi onto Leon, Kamikaze onto Kanto, and it's all falling apart for Rogue in the final 10 seconds. They haven't been able to get themselves properly into sight, and NIP, they stand tall and lock it down.
A little bit shoehorn there, Rogue. Again, I understood the intent behind what they were going for with only having 2 Hard Breach gadgets, but I feel they really locked themselves into a predictable attack from NIP. Into a predictable attack against NIP. NIP knew they were coming down Marble. They know there was only 2 potential drops that could go through around Elevator and inside of Red. That was where the Ying was trying to put the focus in, but just couldn't quite pull it together. Well composed by NLP, really putting up a wall there in front of Rogue and saying, you may not pass, you may not enter. A great response, and we move now upstairs into CEO and Executive Lounge.
Yeah, it was great. It was great from NIP, much less of a roam presence than I might have expected. We'll see how they go throughout the remainder of the sites. This one, we're not going to see too much of a roam, I wouldn't expect from NIP, given that they're on the top floor. You don't need to worry too much about the underneath. They're going to be looking more to hold on to this top floor, which they can do pretty much from sight. We'll likely see somebody set up towards stock, may see somebody playing in and around elevators. Wizard, keep an eye on his position as the Echo, and exactly where he's going to be playing. Obviously, he's going to want to keep himself out of danger. You usually see them in and around that position that he's in now. Janitor meeting just back and forward between those two rooms.
Attackers must locate and defuse.
Let's see how the setup goes, and it is very architect heavy, as we like to call it. I mean, you referenced it before in our last game around Mira, for example, around the Azami. Ubi kind of declared this class of operators they term architects, who are all focused on transforming the sites and how certain defenses are played. So things like Castle, Azami, Mira all form into that lineup, and none at the minute are more potent than the Azami, purely on the basis that she keeps on putting these barricades up in various locations, very, very flexible as an operator, whereas Castle obviously is restricted more towards doorways. But the beauty of having both together is if an attacking team does blow out a Castle barricade, oh, there's now a Kiba barrier going down. You destroy that, oh, there's another Kiba barrier going down. You can just keep on placing it in, so unless the attackers have got tons of soft breach, which they have got a relatively good amount here, things like the Selmas if they need them, they've got the Zofia, they've got the Ash, they've got the Gon 6 on Spoit, they've got nades, they really have come armed, but it's going to be, I don't want to say a battle, I was going to say a battle of utility, but it may well turn into that right now. It's turning into a battle of gunfights. Cryon finds one, and his younger brother in Spoit finds one elsewhere.
I'm not sure about that positioning from Muzi there. He left himself in a dead end. Very difficult to get out of there once you get found by the drone. I understand as the Warden he was playing underneath with the Nitro in hand, potentially looking for that vertical denial, but that's not really where you need your Warden,
Jesus,
Des.
hello.
If you're expecting to have Candelas come in from the windows, you need your Warden upstairs, and it's difficult to get back up there if you're going to lock yourself down in open area. So Muzi getting punished for that early misplay, that early decision. Now then, Diffuser's going to be going down. Leon is inside the site. Kamikaze starts fighting back. Going to be shut down by Cryon here, surely. Yes, comes around the corner, gets in from behind the vending machine, levels us up at 1-1, and this is as close as expected. A good round for each side.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue in that round, it was very different to the prior, where NIP kind of retreated back towards site, which you can't do on the top floor. It's just so exposed to the windows. But downstairs, they were kind of, again, digging in, setting up this wall, and Rogue had very few avenues to actually hit the site itself. In this round itself, NIP knew they had to get out in the map and control more space, and Rogue were very happy taking these 1v1s. Like, you didn't see a lot of trade play in that round. It was just about the ones being taken around the map, and when a team like Rogue is confident, they're going to be very hard to shut down. It was something Leon said a while ago, actually, about, I think I asked him, what if this playstyle doesn't work? And he's like, well, at that point, we'll try and figure something out. But for now, if you're happy and playing well, we know we'll get results. So we'd rather just give everyone a good gun and say, go nuts and try and find your kills. And that last round, I think, really epitomised and showed that strategy they're trying to adopt.
Yeah, it was spot on. It's something that we've said for Rogue before. We will say it again. They section off the map well, they isolate players well, and they go in and make sure that they get the kills. Like I say, Muzi, just for me, it was a roll of the dice. He's hoping to not get picked up on a drone there. But when you're coming up against Rogue, it just makes me wonder if NIP done their homework. You're coming up against Rogue. We've already spoken about Deepek on the drones, Crying to a degree as well. There's a lot of information work going on for Rogue there, and you don't expect them to be missing players hidden under a desk, for example.
Well, here we go. This time around, we have got additional hard breach gadgets in back pocket. Not that they strictly need them. Not, of course, attacking into the basement this time round, but you've also got Leon with 2 in his back pocket, along with 6 frag grenades scattered across the remaining 3 members. So a lot of firepower coming in, a lot of ability to get hatches if required. It feels more like a bit of backup and security here to have them in the back pocket of Leon alongside Deepek. And speaking of the Zero, this is the kind of thing that Rogue have run a number of times historically. Not so much lately now I think about it, but back in probably stage 1, we would see them playing the Zero an awful lot. That information being used as a Valkyrie might on the defensive side, just far too valuable to not bring.
Pino going to relocate himself into the elevators there. Psycho trying the same trick as Muzi here on the Vigil. At least with the Vigil, he's got the opportunity to maybe keep himself off the drones a little bit more. So he's going to try to just keep himself out of the way for the time being. Top floor is definitely something that Rogue are going to want to take control of, given that they're attacking onto open area. We see 2 pushes into open area. It's either a final push through the triple wall to try and get the diffuser down, or it's drop the hatch and try and get it down that way. But Cryon, he's going to come in with a second entry in a row. It's Kamikaze that's going to go down, and the Psycho player could be a linchpin for this round and which way it goes.
I spoke about Cryon a bit earlier in terms of his combo with Spoit, but also worth referencing the big step up he's had as a player in the last probably 6 months or so. Everyone remembers when he joined G2 and just really couldn't quite show what we knew he was made of. Leon,
that's your book.
I mean, at this point now, the real question comes in on how fast can Rogue shut him down. They know that he's inside a CEO. They know they haven't got the vertical control. There's 2 or 3 players looking to challenge him, and Spoit's the one who finds the kill.
He does, but partially some damage is done there because obviously they were looking towards getting some verticality opened above archives, above tellers. They're not going to be able to do that now because they've got nobody left. They can use nades to a degree, but they're just going to lose another couple of them as Wizard manages to find Crying on the marble staircase. So Kanto using the holes that Leon did manage to give him before dying, but in a 2 versus 3 now, Rogue are on the back foot here because NIP can play much more inside a site and they can just wait for this final push to come, knowing that it's going to be through the triple wall.
And here's the beauty as well. If you use this in the same mute jammer, on this case there's not. But on the other side, one, it gives you information. 2, it can get gadgets that are on the wall itself. That being over the top might well give them a bit of information as to where Pino is, but it doesn't stop him hitting a mega shot onto Kanto as well. Deepek now the last one left alive. We spoke about him a lot. He sits on cams most of the round. He's got 3 to kill with 15 seconds to go. Can he pull this one off? I'm not too confident. There's a man off towards his left-hand side. Flicks onto him, but Muzi finds the kill. NIP taking round 3.
Impressive performances from both teams so far, and this is what I like to see. Both teams are coming out and winning these rounds, and you know that's how we want it really. We want to see the best that they've got to offer us. It gives us a better idea going into the playoffs of what we can expect from these teams should they make it. And right now they've, at least in a couple of rounds for NIP and 1 for Rogue, shown us some really good performances. So moving into round number 4, it's going to be back down to the basement. Round 1 we saw NIP win this basically by frustrating Rogue. Rogue not really bringing the tools for the job, we didn't feel. Not having enough hard breach on side, it only left them with 2 hatches to open, and that really signals to NIP exactly where the push is going to come from, and they can just funnel them at that point, which NIP did fantastically well. So I'd like to see a little bit of additional hard breach. Leon's gone on to the ace rather than the thermite this time,
It's
but
even worse.
It just doesn't answer that problem. Now they can only open 1 hatch instead of 2. He switches back to the thermite, but we're still in that same position.
Like I said before, hard breach gadgets are the play here. The Buck, I think, is the smart one to go to. Arguably a more decent gun, and this time around Deepek isn't on the smokes. That was one thing I was waiting to see, was do we drop the smokes away and bring the hard breach? Absolutely we do. Now they've got 4 of those in back pocket. That means 4 of the 5 hatches can be opened up, although one of those 5 is already open because NIP are looking to play through it. A very aggressive shield being taken up here by Kamikaze. I'd be a bit nervous about Spoit, for example, or even Crying trying to push down through Garage and just taking that out for free, though.
Yeah, exactly that. Crying looking to move towards that marble staircase quite quickly. This is something that we've seen from Crying so far. Throughout the game has been getting into the map as the knock and looking for those early kills. He knows somebody's going to be playing inside of open. He sees him twice, but just can't manage to hit the shot. It is only a flicker of movement, so no criticism there. Using that Hell presence reduction device just to keep him off the default cams for the time being. But Muzi, he's aware, I think. He knows that there's a little bit of a push, a little bit of attention from elevators. They could come together for a clash here, but Muzi, he's just going to keep himself above that hatch, ready to drop. He's going to look to take the fight on a fadeaway possibly, but no, he drops before the fight comes. Crying clears out open, and within the first minute, Rogue are taking some good map control.
They've missed out Psycho, though. Look who's sat inside Electric.
They've got to start, start finding them on the drones.
Deepek's about to earn his keep here. If he can find a man, then brilliant. At the very least, actually, I like what he's done here. He hasn't had to go and look for people. He can see top blue, he can see E-Box door, he can see square stairs. That's all they really need. As long as someone is watching those cams, and right now it's Kanto and Crying that was sat on cams, while everyone else gets to work keeping busy, they will have that knowledge if someone does come for a push out.
They will. It's a big part of the NIP game plan, obviously, is to try and keep players like Psycho and Muzi off the radar, keep them out of the way, and then hit Rogue on the flank. We saw Pino was specifically watching for drones going into Electrical. That was his entire focus, was to keep them out of there. And right now, I don't think that Rogue are aware that Psycho is playing inside of Electrical, and he is potentially going to hit them hard later in the round. Pino managing to get a nice kill there onto Kanto. Finds a headshot, takes some damage along the way. Crying pushing down the main stairs, he's going to have to dip back out of it. They know that he's there, and the Toxic Babe canister comes out to slow him down even further.
Gets cold feet, yeah, doesn't want to go much further, but now the Candelas are coming out is where we should see Psycho start to look to make his move. I don't know if anyone's watching it, but nades come through. Pino has just danced around nades all game long, it feels, not just in this round, and there's Psycho on the flank. No one on the flank drones, and he gets 2. That's the round-ending play that you're looking for. No one on the drones, unfortunately, means Rogue miss out on this attack. NIP still all 5 left left alive, and Pino danced around nades, danced around bullets, danced around everything, and found himself a kill as well.
Been perfectly played from NIP, and Rogue need to learn this lesson quickly. They're going to find themselves 3-1 down as Wizard finds the kill onto Spoit. It's all up to Deepek, 10 seconds left to go. There's a very little chance that there's anything he can do here. He's just going to spray down the wall, but that is going to be the end of the round. It's a bit of a courtesy on the way out that he takes Psycho down, but Psycho had long since done his damage. Rogue, you got to learn the lesson. You got to be drawn in every single corner. I know it's not as simple as that when Pino is sat specifically watching a doorway to keep drones out of that room, but, well, we'll see exactly what impact can be found from that Rogue timeout as we head into round number 5. We're going to see CEO once again, so it's up to the top floor for NIP. They showed a real ability last time to be able to hold on to that site. Will they be able to repeat? Rogue have to start disrupting this NIP defense. That's the important word for me for Rogue, is disruption. They haven't yet really stopped NIP doing anything that they wanted to do.
They haven't really changed away too much either here. Like, I thought maybe we'd see a Yin come out once again, but they haven't bothered this time round. That's being kept in back pocket, at least for now. What you are seeing still is the same things we've already seen before. The long-range soft breach, looking towards the Ashe and the Zofia, in towards the Gonzitz coming out of Spoit. Then again, Cryin has been on this nook consistently across the whole half, with Leon pulling up back on the soft breach, mainly the exothermics of the Thermite, a little bit of Buck as well. This time round, it's going to be the Ace. The difference is really, we're not seeing a castle being picked out though by NIP, it's just the Azami. So all that soft breach is still valuable, the shields, for example, to go through, but nowhere near as much as there was last time round in this attack.
No, and that might just give Rogue a little bit more time to work with, if nothing else. Look at this from Pino, though. He's just waiting for that repel, Des. It's not actually necessary to immediately repel onto the windows. It depends what you want him to do, basically. If you want to play the windows, obviously you need to repel onto them. With the recent changes that Bank sought, there is the alleyway to the side. If you're just looking to get up onto the roof, get up onto that square skylight, you don't necessarily need to expose yourself to that angle. So that's something they're going to be aware of. Right, they've seen him. They know that Pino's there. Rogue, do something with this information. You see Deepek going directly towards that target. You've got the Ashe as well. You've got Kanto there ready to act. They're going to let him get away.
No!
Cryin had the opportunity, he had the information, but Pino, as I've said, just manages to find that entry kill so often.
Was it Lycan who once said you haven't been to Atlanta to even run over by Pino, or was it someone else?
It was Nesk.
It was Nesk, yeah, that's the one. Although it kind of applies to Pino when he's playing like this. More and more entries stacking up. A trade coming through between Psycho and Spoit. Spoit admittedly a little bit slower to get started in this game, it feels like so far. It feels cruel to say that when someone's 3 and 5, they're being slow to get started, but it's not the normal pace that we've seen coming out of him. Looks like another rough round coming in for Rogue, though, now currently in the 3v4.
Pino looking to get aggressive. He's going to find his man. Easy as that. The thing is, now that Rogue are behind in terms of man count, they just don't have any handle on where these players are. And players like Pino, if they've got the freedom of the map, they're going to hurt you exactly like that. Clever from Pino. Just takes a punch out of that barricade. I don't think he's got any honest intention of jumping out of a window. But if you noticed on the silhouette that you could see outside, it just forced one of the players immediately away from the window because they needed to start watching for that jump out. It's just very smart, very experienced play.
Deepek's had to deal with that all round, it feels like, as well. Pino's just been across from ATMs, all the way across the square, picking up kills on the way through. He is the CEO of Bank at this point. He's having an absolute field day, and Rogue yet to find an answer, even after that timeout to slow him down. Let's see if these last two can get anything done, though. We are in that last 45. I think Kanto here going to recover the diffuser and then get themselves back on track. Sorry, Deepek, sorry, that is. And now get back onto Wars things. Kanto looking for a swing on the janitor door. Kamikaze, ready and waiting, and it's so free. It is so free.
Absolutely beautiful from Kamikaze there. Knew where the challenge was going to come. Once again, how many times have I said this, Des? It's all up to Deepek. He's in a 1 versus 4 this time. Last alive. He's just going to spray down. He's got the gun to do it. He's got the Zofia LMG, so he's not going to likely need to reload. He's got about 120 bullets in the mag at the minute. Manages to find the first onto Kamikaze, but he's got 3 more to go and 10 seconds to do it. That's going to be the much bigger enemy. Is the clock ticking away? The sand running through the hourglass. He sees the one on Marble. The challenge continues to come in. Sprays through the soft wall. He's unfortunate, but it's not going to matter. The time ticks down, the round goes by, and that is NIP 4-1 up now against Rogue.
And as I said, Pino is just running all over Rogue right now. They're unable to get a handle on him because look at that round. They saw him on a drone, crying, came for the challenge, and Crying is not a bad player. I only finished half a point about him earlier. But we talk about Spoit a lot. Crying has been putting up some mega numbers himself as well. Some real strong games, hitting double digits, single digit kills, absolutely laughing his way to the bank. But even there, steps through, goes to the challenge, and Pino just flicks him in the first couple of shots, straight to the head. There's very little you can do about a player that is hitting their shots like that on the day.
Going to be the final defensive round then for NIP. We're going to be going down to Open and Staff once again. We've seen them win it back in round 3, and they will be looking for more of the same. Last time around, if you remember, it was Psycho playing up in CEO, kept himself under the desk and off the radar, was able to get himself an absolute freebie onto the Book of Leon. I'm sure that Rogue are going to have learnt that lesson. I don't think that NIP are going to be trying the same thing. They're not going to be sort of ratting anybody away this time. They're just going to be playing more of a standard defense. There will be a top floor presence. I'd expect somebody to be playing inside a janitor at least to begin with. The hatch is open, so that's your escape route, and they're just going to try to burn as much time as they can. It looks like we're going to have Kamikaze inside a stock as well, supported by a Kiba barricade.
We saw this kind of play from Diaz in the last game from Exeter against Dan1 Kia. I think they're looking direct towards site there for a second. I was a bit nervous. They were just about to go straight in through the door, with the Gon 6 being the sort of flag of, let's go, boys, it's go time. But no, Leon rotating away up to the top floor, wants to get that vertical control, which means you will see this scrap taking place around stock.
Crying once again, first inside of the map, inside 20-30 seconds, looking to get aggressive. He's done well on the entry so far. He did get shut down last time by Pino though, so needs a slightly better outcome. Deepak is on the windows. Kamikaze it is though that finds the opener onto Spoit. Crying does manage to get his revenge after the last round onto Pino, closing him out 4 versus 4. Kamikaze's in a particularly important position here. He's supported by Psycho, and the reason that position is so important is because it allows the hatch drop down into open area. That's something that often teams on attack will fight over, getting control of that hatch and opening it. NIP as the defenders have done it for them, but as long as Kamikaze's there, they can't use it.
And right call as well by NIP. They got rid of the buck. That was the crucial operator they had to remove all the vertical destruction that Rogue had brought along. They see he's dead. What do? Instantly drop back down towards site. There is not really much point anymore holding onto that bit of land. You've got a 4 versus 3. You can afford to concede it. Kanto here just managed to get through that barricade. I spoke about this earlier on as well. Not breaking them out, not as much sound. You're still able to have an impact.
I'm just going to be sending the nade into the elevator. It won't have any joy. Muzi's just found himself back inside of Tellers. He's roaming around. He's potentially going to come head-to-head. There you go. That's all the information he needs. He's just going to hold as tight an angle as he can now. And he's likely going to find himself a challenge coming in. But Kanto manages to hit him on a tight angle, taking down Muzi with a headshot. That just might give Rogue an opportunity here. 3 versus 3.
I'm looking at the drone count here from Rogue as well. Like I saw the nade come out from Crying into Elevator, and I thought, I mean, why? Have you got some information there? But I don't know if they did, but they've got a lot of drones out on the field that haven't been dealt with by NIP despite their own coming through. So I don't know if Rogue aren't really using their drones as aggressively as other teams might. We saw teams like Sonics yesterday, for example, burning through 8 of their drones inside 90 seconds more often than not. A little bit of a different story here, but Kanto's now getting a view inside of the site, knows there's a castle present, and now wants to carry on. Also sees a man on the quad wall.
3 versus 3, 30 seconds left to go. Rogue at a position where they need to start thinking about pushing into site. NIP are ready to withstand them. They're just holding down those angles, but that's a brilliant kill. Deepak onto Psycho, just teaming up with Kanto. Finally, Rogue managed to bring that play that we've seen so often from them. The perfect example, Deepak Kanto moving in together, challenging from both sides, guaranteeing the kill, and they were able to power through from there. 2-4 on the half. Rogue might be a little bit disappointed there, but they are coming up against an NIP side who are playing well today. Yeah,
I mean, between all members as well of NIP really having impact here. We saw Psycho have a great couple of rounds in that as well. Pino consistently across all of them. Kamikaze in that last round as well, getting involved around stock and bringing down Spoit and removing that part of the map. Just all of the players getting involved at different parts of the half. For Rogue, as you say, what I was really impressed by there, the number of times we get to say 75 seconds left and we go, right, boys, let's look at what we've got here. We've got a good amount of utility. We know we can't get through vertically. We're going to have to hit site and try and go for fights. We've got time. We've got a lot of drones. Let's get on those drones. And all 3 players did sit on drones for a good amount of time. They got the right information. There's a player sat on hatch. There's one sat down behind the desk that you can see in the center of your screen. There's one sat against quad wall. Okay, then, 3, 2, 1, boys. go. And even though Kanto didn't know where the Azami was specifically, he just blind fired him towards that back corner to force a moment of panic, and you saw the Azami kind of turn towards him, which gave Deepet the agency to push in and actually get the kill they needed. It's just beautiful little bits of team play like that, the simple basics that really make a team fantastic.
Heading into round number 7 then, Rogue will switch on to the defense this time around. We're going to have NIP on the attack, and we'll see how they do when they have to take the onus, where they have to take the initiative and go in there and get things opened up. Great work from the Twitch so far, taking down a Yokai drone. I'm not sure if there's one remaining going up, but still, that is a big loss for the side of Rogue. It's powerful utility, and it's off the board.
I love the lineup, by the way, from NIP. Like, Kamikaze, Wizard, support players? Nah! Stick them on the entry. Give them the Yana, give them the Nook, for example, and let them run riot. Look how cheeky this is as well. Sees the arm of Psycho, but can't quite finish him off. Leon's got to be careful here. There are 2 players pushing him down Garage, and they can see underneath this van.
Leon looking, he was looking to potentially just play a bit of a gadget move there to try and help him, but an absolute beauty from Psycho to take him down, and that also is becoming really oppressive really quick. We're seeing a lot of rear-sided pressure here. Psycho taking little bits of damage here and there. That's a lot more, and that is what Rogue need. They have to shut down this Garage push, otherwise they're going to find themselves turning on their heel through the entire round.
They're really committing numbers in towards that hold as well. Rogue, 3 players have now pushed in towards it. Kanto finding himself a drone as it comes pushing on through for more information, but it feels like NIP have now done enough to have control of Garage. And I love it, because rather than trying to be sneaky with like a Nook, they've just brute forced their way through, making use of the Oscar. It's really smart stuff.
Yep, she only got 1 shield left. One has been destroyed with an impact nade, so that is going to be now repositioned by the cash van just to give that long angle up into sight. We see another death coming in on either side, leaving us now in a 4 versus 3. 1 minute 15, and interestingly, NIP haven't played towards server at all just yet, which has basically taken Spite out of the game. But Wizard, he's going to be heading up there looking for this kill on the knock, and I'm not sure that Spite knows he's coming.
I don't think he does, no. Like, he's expecting that push to come in from below. He got the trade after Pino found Crying, so that was where the initial scrap was, around square itself. Kanto's also, I think he understands, like, right below the Nook at this point. Got to be super careful, because it could be a freebie for Wizard. They definitely have zero idea that he's here.
If Wizard just takes a peek around the top of those stairs, as you say, it's going to be a freebie. It's going to be Muzi, actually, who manages to move in and get that kill. And then Spite, he has to make a move. He has to do something. He's going to be heading towards blue stairs. Electrical is just looking to see if he can find anybody, but it's more the Knock above he needs to be worried about. And Wizard, he plays a trick on Spite and gets the kill. Takes him down out of Electrical. 4-1, 4 versus 1 now, rather, sorry, for NIP, and they are flying on the attack. It's starting to look worrying for Rogue fans.
That was definitely a where the bloody hell did he come from moment. Deepak left in this 1vx. We've seen it so many times in the half, knowing that there is very little that he can do here. NIP looking different class in this game so far. Deepak looking out towards where the plant went down. He knows what he's got to do here, but every angle that he's not looking at probably has an NIP player set on it. They had the long angle through Garage. They had Muzi up on Marble. There's very little you're going to be able to do there. It's trying to like run a gauntlet back towards that diffuser for the disable.
I can tell you as well, you probably can't quite hear in the background, but NIP are getting loud at this point. You know, as we quite often see from a lot of the LATAM teams, there's a lot of passion in there amongst the players, and when they are feeling comfortable, confident, and getting loud like that, you know that Rogue or anybody that they're playing against could be in trouble. 5-2 now, and they're starting to really run away with this. And I tell you what, an NIP win here really opens Group A up.
It does, like we said earlier. NIP win, they get 3 points. There's 3 teams then sat on 6. Rogue, NIP, and XSET. It's not quite a reset, but it essentially is going into the second 3 games because, as you guys know, all teams play 6 games in the group stage. Once they've played 3, there's 3 more to play. There's half remaining. Worth mentioning about the noise thing as well. We've got 4 of the noisiest teams currently playing. We've got Elevate, we've got Furia, Rogue, and NIP.
There's plenty going on.
Every 30 seconds, I'm just hearing like, woo, across the venue.
There is plenty going on, let us tell you that. But that is always the joys of group stages. It's always nice because we get to catch right on top of all 4 teams that are going on, and we hear an awful lot of it, and it just fires us up and everybody else up. Now then, Rogue, they're going to be going up to the top floor, looking for the peak. Crying, he's not going to get any joy. NIP, they're far too switched on for that today. They were ready for the potential of that coming out. It was worth a try from Rogue at this point. They need to inject some pace into the game. They need to give themselves some sort of spark, and that certainly would have been it, but unfortunately for them, NIP are paying too much attention.
I thought for a second he might find it, but almost the half-second double back by NIP was enough for Cryan to go, okay, never mind, let's step away from this one because we know what comes next. A quick peek, pre-fire, and I'm dead. So smart play. Spoit down a little slither already there. Took a quick bullet, I think, coming in from Moose, who's playing just outside these double windows. A very common spot that we've seen Spoit play repeatedly over in EUL as well. The single reinforced wall, the shield, for example. A similar position to what we saw Kamikaze playing, only Kamikaze was actually playing inside of the room itself, whereas Spoit here is out in the hallway.
Psycho, again, just paying attention. They want to get on those windows. They're attacking onto CEO. They want to get on there. They want to make a nuisance for everybody inside the site, but they just need to be careful about doing so. Pino, he is up there now, but he's had Psycho watching the others. There's the potential for a jump out. You know, limited in terms of claymores on the other side. There's only the 2 available, so they need to be careful because, of course, there is potentially going to be options for the defenders should they want to get aggressive onto it. Muzi, he's got himself established underneath along with Wizard, and Psycho is actually outside of the map at the minute. I think he's just watching the windows. But it looks like Wizard's going to be heading up these square skylight stairs.
Oops.
Pino manages to find Leon from those windows, and NIP just once again getting themselves on top and starting to push Rogue around.
A little bit overcooked there, Moosey with the nade. Not the kind of mistake you'd expect for a player like him either. Timings on that sort of thing should be easy. Second knowledge, unconscious or subconscious in terms of decisions. Spoit again though, I said it earlier, he's not having the best of games so far. You can't expect him to drop double digits every single game, but he has been manhandled by NIP, and maybe that's that experience piece starting to show through.
I think it's probably just been a bit of a focus for NIP as well. They know that you know, he's a player that they need to pick up on, that they need to deal with. They'll no doubt have studied where is he going to play. As you say, they played Bank yesterday, so there's plenty of information there for NIP, and they'll have identified the areas that they particularly need to focus on, and that is going to be a big chunk of damage to Cryan as well. 5 versus 2 as NIP have got themselves set up wonderfully here. They've got the square skylight wall open, they've got control of the windows, they've got the smoke canisters out. It's time for that final execute. Kamikaze to get himself in and start putting that diffuser down. Rogue are just being left to hopeful spray downs. They've just got Kanto raining shots in through smoke. He's shut down by Pino on the rappel. It's a flawless round for NIP to take them on to 6.
They are looking unbelievable. Who was it who said to us earlier that you might see NIP? No, it was Easy actually, our observer.
Yep.
So Easy came over and said, if NIP win this game, I feel they could go on to win it. And I was like, I don't know, I don't really...
The tournament, that is.
Yeah, I don't feel like they're that convincing. But seeing this game, what I think has really shone through the brightest is Rogue have had many opportunities where really it should be a free kill. But they get 1, maybe 2 shots off, and then NIP are firing back. And they do not miss.
No.
Like the number of times where they've had a shot line up, they've had a couple of shots, maybe they've hit the body of an NIP player, that player turns around and instantly bangs them off the map. It's just like, well, what do you do about that? You've got to be perfect as Rogue because NIP are playing it perfectly. Every single shot is being made to count.
Well, this is, I mean, Pino 10-4, Muzi 8-2. Muzi's taken 2 deaths in 8 rounds. That's absolutely ludicrous. And, you know, they are players that you just can't play against when they're like that. We've seen a couple of shots, like you said, where you expect the Rogue player to win it. And all of a sudden it's bang, instant headshot coming in from Pino. And you just can't touch that sort of ability when it's firing like this. So NIP absolutely cruising so far on Bank. I think there could be an element here of, you know, the fact that Rogue have already played this map. NIP have had a real opportunity to go over that VOD, prepare for it, steer the map bands towards Bank. You know, and they are well prepped for this. They know where the Rogue players are going to be playing. They're going in challenging. They're already setting up the crossfires. You know, we saw that in the last round. It was so difficult for them to move anywhere around Janet or anywhere around Meeting. Every time they moved, somebody was dying.
We've got that slow creeping Oster coming back in once again. You can see Psycho working his way down towards the garage. Rogue, hopefully, they are definitely more prepared, Tim. I've just looked at their gadgetry. They've got 6 impacts versus the 2 that they had last time. They know what's coming, and they wanted to make sure they're definitely able to adapt because it was really oppressive last time around. Having the Oster dancing around with the shield and then having a player supporting him to try and pick up frags was ridiculous. The difference this time around, though, is that there's only the Oster down there. So whether that's more of a distraction force, just kind of sending the Oster in to put a little bit of pressure on, but not quite as deadly as they were last time around, could make a really big difference.
Psycho then getting himself set up, as you say, not being directly challenged this time, so not going to have the opportunity to dome Leon like he did last time. Spoit out on Marble Staircase. They're just trying to hold Garage differently, effectively. Rogue here are just saying, okay, you can sort of come into Garage, we're going to hold it from main staircase, we're going to prevent you moving any further once you get yourself into Garage. So slightly different approach from them. Pino, he's going to be heading down the Marble Staircase, so he's looking to get aggressive. Wizard manages to find Kanto, and that is not the start that Rogue wanted. The NIP now in charge of the mid-floor, the top floor. They've got 90% of this map under their control, and Rogue, they are backs to the wall.
And Pino might do what Crime wouldn't earlier, because Crime was always flirting around Marble, but not ever really able to commit to pushing down. There was a smoke there, for example. A couple of times he got cold feet and pulled back long before. So if we see him burst down here with a little bit of aggression supported by the team, it'll be wonderful. May even choose to rotate away, though, look, with a couple of claymores being paced down. Going to take a bit of time to bash his way through that castle barricade. Psycho still sat really deep, though, inside a Garage, not yet moving forwards.
Working it from both sides there, just to get the job done quicker. As you say, Psycho quite happy to just hold his position for the time being. I think he's basically waiting for the right moment here. As soon as there's a lot of noise elsewhere, that's when he's going to push forward and get really aggressive. We can see there is a bit of a challenge coming in. There's a Yokai drawn ahead. I think given the opportunity, Psycho will look to take that out, which he does. 30 seconds left to go. The clock might just come to the rescue for Rogue here. Leon manages to get Pino, but not before Muzi takes down Spoit. Candelas are going to go in here, and NIP are as well. They follow them and start getting that diffuser down. Is the cover going to be sufficient, though? 4 versus 2, 3 versus 2. Deepek gets himself a double, but he's now left in a 1v2. It looks like Wizard will be able to stick this plant. He's got Psycho on the cover as well, but Deepek could come in clutch with a Yokai blast. He can't see where it's going down, Des.
Biggie T!
Oh my word! That must have been an absolute fraction of a second.
That's unreal. Unreal.
That was close.
He's been in 1vx's all game as well, Tim. That's the worst part. Like, consistently staring down the barrel of a 1v3, a 1v4, but this time he makes it count. He keeps Rogue in the game. Do I believe there's a comeback in Rogue here? I don't think so against NIP with the way they're playing that game, but that is a good motivator for Rogue, who have been slapped about for the vast majority of this game.
What you say now for NIP, it feels like a matter of where rather than when. You know, it's just which site is it going to be that NIP managed to overrun. We're going back up to the top floor for Rogue here last time out, this was a very good round for NIP. There was very little that Rogue could actually do about this one. They got themselves on the windows, they got themselves the breach opened up, they played into Janitor very well, they just cut down Rogue every time, as I put it last time, every time they tried to move. So Rogue need to think about that, they need to think about those lines of sight. How can we maintain our mobility here? How can we maintain our ability to be able to push them from multiple angles, to be able to do things differently? And it's a difficult one to answer for me, for Rogue. Maybe stick somebody underneath, maybe look to have somebody who can play through open and staff and assault onto Square Skylight without going head-to-head onto it.
A little bit nervous about the setup here, really, for NIP too. Looking at Rogue, we saw this setup coming out of NIP back in the first half. Shields, the castle, the Izami, all of it stacking together for a lot of required soft destruction. And Rogue's response was things like the Ash and the Zofia and Gone 6s, whereas for NIP, it's a couple of Gone 6s. Sure, they've got the nades, but you've got to be able to get them through into those key locations to get rid of that gadgetry in the first place. So I'm a little bit nervous about whether or not they can clear out all the barricades and all the Izamis that no doubt Rogue will put up before them.
We saw Psycho in this position previously, opening up windows and just looking to hold down any potential jump outs, any potential peaks. He's just going to allow likely Muzi or Pino, I would have thought, to get themselves onto the windows. It's been Pino previously on the Twitch, and then they will start to try and soften up sight. Wizard very quickly shutting down the potential for a basement rotate. They've got it down, Des. You know, I suggested Rogue maybe play somebody underneath, maybe look to push through open staff. And what's the first thing that Wizard does? He goes in and he air jabs off the staff door, so there's no way that they're coming through there.
Deepek almost getting naded out from below. And now they've got the downstairs locked down with those air jabs where more nades could potentially come in from below. No doubt Psycho should head himself down there in the not too distant future. For Muzi, he's more focused on going Route 101 here, getting himself inside a square. We've already seen the work that he did with his LMG just a couple of rounds ago. Absolutely bodied Rogue from this position. And Psycho finds a wonderful shot onto Leon at range.
That's going to be kicking things off, and the problem for Rogue is that Deepek is also low health, so this is practically a 5 versus 3, and it's the Warden, you know, who they're going to be looking to see through that smoke to try and deny a plant. Drones going straight in from NIP. Des, they're not missing a beat here. Every second that comes along, they are taking a meaningful action towards winning the round. NIP have been super impressive. Cryan is in an important position. They need to deal with him next, I think.
Spoit, again, playing this power spot that he's played so many times over before. They're just really trying to make sure that no one can come charging up behind them. I think you can still get the down the side there. It's the problem, Cryan, but at the very least, you know exactly where they're coming from if you do hear someone coming up on Marble Stairs. So small wins being taken in here. He did a similar sort of thing also on the main stairs. So they've really tried to keep NIP pushing on one side of things, knowing that they haven't got much range destruction.
Deepak's going to drop down the hatch and look for that play from underneath, but as we've said, he's likely to run in to air jabs potentially. Spoit manages to find Muzi. That could be big. 20 seconds left to go. NIP, they've actually burnt a lot of time here in the second half of the round, and they haven't been in a position to go in and get the execute, but there goes Pino Canto winning an important gunfight. Cryan and Spoit along the way as well. It's all up to Wizard. What magic has he got up his sleeve, Des? Absolutely none, as Spoit finds the long-range kill, and Rogue are back in this at 4-6.
And what makes me not nervous, optimistic I guess more for Rogue, is that Spoit has found 2 kills in the round. He struggled to get started throughout the game, and I know 2 kills won't suddenly transform into a god gunner like that. I understand that. But I think the thing that'll do for confidence, now they've got 2 rounds on the bounce, they've had a clutch coming out of Deepek, they've had a convincing round just now. Is that confidence going to start building back up? The only fear I've got is they've got to keep on rotating through sites as they are on the defensive side, which means at some point NIP will come to a site they are very confident attacking and feel they can win uncomfortably.
We see a reminder of the probabilities down at the bottom there. A regulation win puts NIP up to about 70%, which is very similar to the position that Except were in, because guess what? They're going to be on about the same amount of points. They will be on 6 each, as will Rogue, and it becomes a real fight towards the end of the group for which 2 out of those 3 will go through. I think we can probably largely discount Dan Kia at that point in time with the 3 teams on 6 points each. It's unlikely that they come back. There is still 9 available for them, so it is possible. You know, it wouldn't be completely unheard of, but it's going to be very, very difficult. But right now, Rogue, they're not interested in that. They want to be getting themselves some points here. Whether it's 1, whether it's 2, won't really be too important, but it will just increase their chances of getting themselves through.
Exactly that. Cryan looking to be a little bit cheeky at the start. This top floor hole coming through once again. No support like we've maybe seen before from Rogue. When they've played some sites, what they'll do is utilize a couple of roamers on the top floor with the support of yokai drones to feed them information and essentially use them as active drones for the roamers. So they can choose where to take engagements, where to go and push, for example. It is Cryan and Spoit up here, unsurprisingly. Curious about when they back away as well, because normally for some teams it's getting droned out that is the trigger to back away, but they might want to stay and try and go for a little bit extra.
Psycho with the drone across the top floor. Like you say, it's going to be about them finding those Rogue players, making sure that they're aware. It's something that NIP took advantage of previously. Cryan knows there's going to be a little bit of a sound cue as the proximity alarm is triggered. Muzi takes it down, but he's got players on multiple sides. They need to challenge together here, and they do. Play. Brilliant timing from Rogue there, and it's Cryan who manages to pick up the kill. That's the entry onto Muzi.
And this is where I worry again, because the pacing coming out of NIP has really slowed down in this round. Where Rogue have struggled is when NIP have come in fast and hard and they didn't have time to adapt. But Muzi has sat there on square for half the round, and then they're like, okay, well, guys, someone come through to tell us here. Let's go for a swing together. Freebie kill comes through. They look largely unbothered. Do they know about Spoit that's tucked in here as well? I don't think they do.
They don't.
And he could get a massive double. C4 comes over the top. Now they know that he's there, and that's the worry.
Spoit, you just feel like there was a better opportunity with the challenge onto the stairs directly with the gun there, but it's still not the end of the world. He's burning more time here. He's going to take down the clone. Can he find himself 1? Can he find himself 2? He's going to shut down Pino to begin with, but he's hungry for more, Des. Nade comes in. He's half health. He's going to try to keep fighting. No shut down. Cannot keep himself far enough away from the explosives, but still a big job done for Rogue there. 3 versus 2 now, 50 seconds to go.
Big response by NIP to crunch down on to him when they realise their mistake. Sure, he gets one, but they make sure he won't find anything else. Regardless, though, it's still that 2 versus 3. Rogue are in a good position, but you're coming up against Wizard. Had a wonderful couple of days so far. Psycho has sat at 9 and 7 on the Yana. A nade still in hand and a wonderful gun for big moments like these. There is every chance NIP can still win.
Certainly could. It looks like they're going to be pushing in through the double door into staff area. Psycho, he's going to try to get aggressive, but he's going straight into the evil eye of a Maestro, and that tells Rogue everything they need to know. 3 versus 2. Psycho has adjusted, but spotted on a cam once again. Wizard, he manages to find Leon, but Kanto from underneath. Beautiful headshot onto Psycho. 8 seconds left to go. Kanto's just going to keep himself out of the way. The diffuser's down. There's absolutely nothing Wizard can do. Deepak with the final kill. The Alder sings out, and Rogue are back within 1. It's 5-6.
Oh boy, now you got to face the final boss, NIP, after a timeout. You guys will have seen that flag at the top right corner of your screen. We are now using the in-game custom timeout feature, so one has been requested. Both teams have now used them, and NIP get 45 seconds to have a conversation about how they're going to close this out now and take all 3 points before Rogue fight their way back in.
What a matchup we are seeing here. Just our excitement levels going up and up as we get towards that 12th round, and we are here. We're going to see every little bit of this potentially. I'm not going to start throwing around any other words that might be coming, Des, but we'll see what happens in this next round. Like you say, for some reason, NIP have just completely gone off the boil here. Rogue have had their number. They've been able to catch them in crossfires. Kanto and Cryin challenging together. Absolutely beautiful. That's not what we've seen from Rogue for a portion of this match, but being able to bring that in now, perfectly timed.
I'll pull back to what I said in terms of reasoning. I really feel the last couple of rounds especially, NIP have slowed down. Prior rounds to that, you'd have individual members pushing different parts of the map and taking large parts of ground. Think about Pino, for example, back in the first half, how happy he was roaming around by himself and making things happen. That sort of energy carried over into the start of the second half when they were up 6 and 2, let's not forget. Rogue now have 3 rounds in a row and all the momentum is in their favour. NIP need to come up with something special.
And it's now or never, because if they don't, it's going to be overtime. Simple as that. And more importantly for NIP, overtime means that they are dropping points that they sorely need. Xset getting their second win earlier on today here on the A stream means that NIP, if they don't get the full 3 here, they sit behind them in terms of the point standings, and it makes it more difficult for them to be stretching towards the playoffs. So NIP, this is and could be a big round for them in terms of the overall trajectory here at the Berlin Major. Now then, Kamikaze, he has spotted the Warden of Cryin in and around that square skylight, so they're going to know that he's playing around there. But the question is, how long can Rogue hold on to the map for? They've got Spoit on the Oryx on the top floor. They are looking to play this as a full map roam to burn as much time as possible. If they can get kills along the way, that's fantastic. But NIP, time has been an issue for them historically. We've seen it creep in over the last couple of rounds again. To be fair, so far, it's not been an issue for them until the last couple of rounds. So they need to work a little bit quicker here. They need to get that information from, you know, one person to the next, and they need to go in together and find these roamers.
No points for guessing where Psycho is likely pushing in here. I think it's down to a garage. I know he's got the shield in hand once again. There he is. So 3 rounds now we've seen this kind of play. No double up action this time again. So first round we saw 2 coming in together. Second round it was just Psycho. This round again it appears to be just Psycho. But he was causing enough bother by himself that I think NIP will say that's worth it. He was drawing the attention of 2 players. We had the Yokai drones coming through, players swinging trying to go for gunfights. So it is all good work being done by Psycho. Now you've got to look elsewhere around the map and ask, where's that aggression coming? Where is the play going to happen? And it feels like it's coming in towards server, given that's where a lot of drones are being focused.
There's a lot of noise coming from that other game as well. Of course, 2 streams running throughout the group phases. We've got games going on all over the place and just chaos in terms of those group standings. But we are focusing on this one here and now. Rogue NIP 6-5. Don't go anywhere, because NIP, they've got their last opportunity to close this out in regulation time. Pino's going to get himself straight in to blue stairs through server. So NIP know that they are able to play on there, but they know that there is a big roam from Rogue here. Cryan's going to be holding on to that position. I think he knows there the bullets will be the telltale. He knows now that there's somebody on blue stairs. Psycho continuing to just creep his way forward, just shield by shield by shield, moving them and placing them in front of each other, creeping his way into garage.
He's really sat far back as well, and he was some in the last round as well, purely because you don't want to get yourself impacted out constantly. Now, Leon knows he's got to drop this out. I think he's a little bit keen on that one, actually, because it hadn't been deployed. So 1 impact down, no shields destroyed.
As you say, Leon will have ability to take one more out. Spoit's going to take a lot of damage there. Does manage to find the Twitch drone, but he's going to get really aggressive. He doesn't know about the man on his left, I don't think. If Spoit takes 1 step too far forward, Kamikaze is surely going to have him. Crying's going to be down. This is NIP's time is now to get aggressive. If Kamikaze pushes forward here, he could find himself one onto the damaged Spoit.
Kanto's above.
We are 5 versus 4.
Kanto's got himself above, though, a really commanding spot, but elsewhere the team are falling apart. Spoit in a real critical position here, could find an easy couple of kills. He sees a little bit of manoeuvring. They're going in for the plant round the corner. He's going to have to make a move up close. Goes round, finds one, can't find the second. Plant should be stuck here. It's retake situation, a 2v2.
They've got to get moving now, Rogue. They've got one on top of the bomb. They didn't expect it. Kamikaze was prone. Pino with the headshot, and that is going to be the round and the match for NIP, and a full 3 points to spice up Group A.
Whew. It felt so close, that comeback, but that was a great last attack coming out of NIP. Rogue so close, yet so far, just couldn't quite hold on in round 12. 3 teams now sit on 6 points in this group, and it's only going to get spicier from here on out. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll break it down even more.